Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you're all having an amazing day. It is amazing to be back in this chair. Trying to record a half decent chess video. I don't know what I'm on about. Yeah, it's been a while. We did Puzzle Rush Sunday and I promised I would be back on Monday. And then I wasn't back on Monday, which is great. We could play c5 here. I don't know. Let's play knight there. Yeah, so we're back. I have been just so busy with work. I'm so tired all of the time. And I think my chest has taken a bit of a hit. But I'm back. We got our rating back up. If you watched the lives, our rating tanked a bit. So we've got it back up a bit to round about where it was. So that's good, at least. So we can focus more now on the actual chess itself. I'll probably... The thing is, if we go e5 here, they have bishop takes knight. If they really, really want to, not pawn takes, bishop takes, I just said. Which doesn't particularly work out for us because they win a pawn, basically. So we probably could go rook e8. But then maybe our f file is a bit weak because they did end up playing f4 at the start. So, what do we do? What do we do? I don't really know. This is strange position. Maybe knight e8 is not horrible. Maybe knight g4. The thing is, we move our knight too much over here. We're giving them sort of tempos to potentially come at us a bit. So yeah, not ideal. I really do want to play e5 though. Let's kick out this bishop then. You know, if we've got nothing else to do, let's kick out this bishop and see what happens. Did I say 1927 from Germany, by the way? I think I did, but who really knows, to be honest? Who really knows? So they have this... I don't even know what to call this structure. It's sort of like a King's Indian attack with f4. Not very, like, committal, to be honest. I'm going to go with e5 because we need to contest the center at some point. So we might as well do it while they're still underdeveloped. And by the way, they are extremely, extremely underdeveloped. Most of their pieces haven't moved, which is good for us, I guess. I'm tempted to take this, which will blunten their attack a bit because they don't have f5 as a push. So I'm very tempted to do that. Then we potentially also have knight h5 as a push. But because they played c3, our bishop is not as sharp as it could be. Not as sharp as it could be. But that's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world at all. So we'll take... I'm probably still going knight h5 because I want to. They go. Maybe we play h6. Maybe we play h6 just to stop anything coming on g5, whether that's a knight or a bishop. I think that's would be annoying. So we might as well spend a move now to prevent it while we don't really know what's happening at all. We definitely do not know what's happening at all. Now I'm very tempted to go knight h5. We could potentially also go knight h7, but that's a bit retreaty. You know, that's not making too many threats. At least with knight h5, we could potentially be walking into g4. But to be honest, I think g4 more weakens their king than it does create an attack. So I'm happy with that. I will go knight h5. I'm not afraid. And that moves their bishop because they didn't want to trade off, which means their bishop and queen can no longer come on this dark square and hit our h6 pawn, which can only be a good thing. I think queen e7 is a valid option, allowing the rook to get in the game. Maybe we can think about d5 as a push. So let's go ahead and do that. The knight comes back. We can always go back to f6. And with the queen on e5, we're adding another support, protecting our knight from e5. They decide to push g4, which is risky to say the least, but I admire it, to be fair. I do admire it. I don't think there's anywhere else we could have gone out there. Everywhere else is yucky. So we've just gone back, which is fine. We've provoked a weakness. We can call that provoking a weakness. Whether we've actually done anything or not is debatable, but we've definitely provoked something for sure. Let's just go Rook E8. I think is simple enough. I don't see any of this working. Yeah, I don't see any of this working. So let's just keep getting more defense. Keep bringing more pieces into the game, I say. Why not? Why not? We have check is my big idea, my grand idea. Maybe that does something, maybe it doesn't, but it's definitely something we can potentially take advantage of in the future. If they decide to push e5, which they potentially could at this point, but I don't think it gets them anywhere other than maybe a bit of a weaker pawn, you know. So I am more than happy with that, I think. I think potentially knight b3 could be slightly annoying, just limiting that, but this check's not the end all be all, you know. It's not the one thing I'm looking at. Not that I'm really looking at anything right now, because we're sort of just letting them come to us, you know, which isn't the best thing you want to do all the time, but it's something you can do, you know. If your opponent's sort of overcommitting, and they've shuffled this bishop a lot, you know, they're messing about with that a bit. Maybe I could consider h5. h5, do they push g5? The problem being that they can play h4 and completely shut out this knight. But then surely that's just so weak, right? Surely that's so weak. You know, that's got to be, like, not good. It's got to be, like, not good, you know? We've got to be careful of d5. I don't think d5 ourselves works. Firstly, they have c7 potentially. Oh, potentially not. But they could always either push. Push first is probably the better choice. Yeah, so we don't want to mess about with that stuff. We don't really want to mess about with that stuff. Maybe just knight h7 and we go this way. Could potentially work, actually. Could potentially work, because their queen's not getting on the dark squares as well. So they go like bishop there, knight there, knight takes, pawn takes. And then potentially we can claim we've got a semi-open file to hit the h3 pawn. I don't mind. I don't mind. And I think it's the type of maneuvery move that we sort of need in this position. Because if they push these pawns anymore, they're weakening either of them. They could potentially push g5, but that would be insane. Very, very insane. They could potentially put h4, but then, you know, bishop takes. So with the knight on g5, we're still sort of half threatening e4, but not really. But we're threatening h3 and threatening to trade off the knight. Is that really what we want to do? But I think the main target would be h3. So we can sort of potentially get a weakness from g4. They decide to go bishop to h4. I'm not a big fan, because I think we still go g5, knight g5. Because then we're threatening knight takes check, and we just win the bishop. So I think we just do that. Yeah, they decide to go for it. Now maybe a bishop f6 could work. And then we get the rooks hitting the h pawn. We just got to be a bit careful of e5, but I don't think that's really going to happen. So I think bishop f6 could work. We could also potentially go check. Not check. Knight takes and then bishop takes check. Or even this way around, where you check first. But you're not really threatening to take much. So I think bishop f6 for now works. And it covers the f-pawn, which is slightly weak, you could claim, I guess. And maybe the bishop could come down to d7, d8, f7 at some point if necessary. The queen's gone there, which is slightly annoying. Slightly annoying. Actually, really annoying. Yeah, that was silly. Actually, no, we can go king g7 and still do this plan. Because the king covers. It's risky for sure. Because 1-2 moves, you know, the bishop could be falling. The bishop and the pawn could be falling. Okay, let's actually calculate it out. We go there, they go there. We go there. Okay, what do you do with this pawn? Maybe push? Doesn't seem right. Okay, so you just commit. You just commit. And then we go there, maybe. Takes. Rook takes. King up, then takes. No, it would have to be king that way, then takes. And like worst case, we get a trade, I think. I think that could work. I think that could potentially work. It's risky for sure. But it could potentially work. We'll do it. Why not? Why not? And I still don't think e5 works. They decide to go a3 for some reason. I genuinely have no clue because this is a full-on threat now. This is a full-on threat. Yeah, we'll go h7, potentially walking into the lines of the bishop. But they're not bothered about this bishop at all. Not at all. And now takes potentially on the table. Not really at the minute, though. Not really at the minute. We've got a minute 20 left on the clock. Maybe we could reroute the knight. Try to be more annoying. I can see that happening. But then maybe are we losing control of e5? Maybe are we losing control of e5? So do we go like... No, we still can't do that because of that. Could we just move the king down, actually? I think we could and just stick the bishop back here. You know, there's no need to do anything. The rooks are there. You know, that's staying there. That's staying there. At least one of the rooks has to stay there to guard that. Oh, we walked into that. We walked into that. Do we have intermezzo? I think we might have intermezzo. Luckily. Very, very luckily. Because we hit the rook there. I will actually take that. Because this rook's not going anywhere. And now maybe a rook f7 comes. And I actually don't hate this. I actually don't hate it. It's a bit of a mistake, but I don't hate it at all. With 48 seconds left, that's something I definitely do hate, though. I don't appreciate that time. Wow. Yeah, that's not a lot of time at all. That is not a lot of time at all. Yeah, go there. Block off the queen from hitting that pawn. Not that it really was. But we're just trying to infiltrate now with both the rooks. The knight can't do anything. It could go there, but then we just move the rook again. You know, it's not the end of the world. The rook can come down to f8 if it really needs to, because the queen covers the pawn. So that's fine. They push is interesting. Really interesting, actually. Maybe we take? Yeah, we probably take, right? 43 seconds. Can we do this? That is the question. I'll go there. Not letting this bishop in at all. Yeah, that's DOA. And it stops the knight coming to e4, which is nice. Could be considered annoying. And we're just looking for annoyances on the f-file, I think. is our grand strategy. Be annoying. Who would have thought? We've got either ones. I'm fine, I think, with the bishop taking that, because the checks are good. Although it is like a queen for two whatevers. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I think it's fine. Where's the queen going? You go there. We'll go there. Take it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I need to save this rook somehow. I really do. It's not nice there. Where can it go though? That's the question. We lose that pawn. Sloppy. We could just check here, I guess, which is nice. It does sort of force off a trade of rooks, potentially. They're not going for the pawn. What are they going for? What are they going for? I'm not sure what the bishop's doing there. Maybe looking for push. Oh, that's a good move. I'll take that, I guess. Double up and go there. Yeah, you're not getting that, my friend. You are not getting that. I'll probably end up going queen f6. Ah, that's sloppy. That is sloppy. Oh, they go for it though. They allow it. Go there. I'm covered. Threatening check as well. Really annoying. Really annoying for them, actually. Horrible. How do you deal with that? Ah, that's nice. What am I doing? Go there. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that move is. Go there. These are all just like spamming moves because I'm running so low on time. It's crazy. Like so low on time. Maybe go queen there. Threatening takes and then check. Oh, they have check. Check, we just go there, but then check again. And we just go there. Potentially fine, right? Well, now we have check. Go there, I guess. No. Yeah, unlucky. We were just low on time there. I think we had a good position. I didn't see that checkmate. That's a nice one. A little cheeky one. Yeah, and takes, knight takes is good. Yeah. Yeah, I think we probably just have to wait, to be honest. I think we probably just maybe c5. Maybe c5 could work because this check we've said doesn't work immediately. You know, at least doesn't work immediately. So yeah, maybe c5 is just nice because then where's the queen going? The queen could, I guess, go that way, but then you're sort of giving up free range for checks. I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's have a look because that was a fun game. I like that. We definitely could have done a lot better. I think the time pressure got to us, which is like strange because I didn't think I was doing bad on time to start. You know, I thought we were moving relatively quickly, but I guess it just caught up to us. F4 against the modern, something I really need to take a look at. To be fair, I've not looked at any of the modern lines. I've just started playing it, just winging it. So that's something I need to do, especially in time for this tournament that I'm playing in soon, which I'm looking to win. So he played it sort of like a half King's Indian setup. That's basically all I know, so we'll carry on playing that. I think that was a mistake allowing us to take on f4. It sort of takes the sharpness out of their attack. Apparently you can just go there. I was worried about maybe that. But f6 apparently is fine. The checks, I guess they're pointless. You just move your king. You know, it's just one check. What's the big issue with that? But we played it safe with h6, and apparently that's just a bad move. That's just a mistake, right? It loses us 1.1 eval from an even position, which is crazy to say just playing h6, which is usually considered h6, a6, like safe moves. You know, that you can do almost any time. Like, doing that is such a big mistake. G4 seemed not good. I mean, there's definitely chances for an attack, don't get me wrong. It seems like bad timing. It seems like your pieces aren't close enough to your king to defend, so maybe I could get a counter attack going. And we kept shuffling. We did definitely keep shuffling. Apparently we can play a5 here, but I wasn't a fan of this, actually. And then h4. I guess you could claim they're not attacking us, but at the same time, are we really attacking them with our knight that's stuck back here? You know, you would have to move both of these rooks or the pawn, I guess. At least 2 moves. 3 if they if they recapture, you just take with the knight, right? So maybe you just break with f6. Actually, isn't horrible. Apparently, bishop g4 is the sort of only move, I think. For some reason, I guess that stops them pushing e5, because his knight can't defend. Not that they can really push that anyway, because we have both the bishop and the knight there. Okay, Fez. Where are we? Knight h7. Yeah. And then we go knight g5. They take, and I'm feeling happy here. We've got this that we can potentially use. I mean, it is relatively easy for them to defend. But it is something we could potentially use. We go bishop f6 to try get these rooks over here. Maybe a bit soon. I can see it being argued that that's soon because of the attacks they did. And I think they probably could have got better out of it. But yeah, especially king g7 sort of seals the fate of this bishop. Luckily, they didn't. Yeah, they wasted a move with a3, which is very, very strange. If it were me, I'd be going straight to rook f2. Apparently, you can do this, though, because of the pin then on the rook. Ah, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. And then they have to do something because the queen is there. And maybe then, if they just move the queen, you can go up to f4, potentially, which is quite cool. We get the rooks across. They think our threat is worthy of defense, which apparently is not, because this is just plus 2.8, which is practically a whole piece. Oh, and the reason is because they don't actually go to triple up their rooks. They go here, and then they're fully going for e5 as an idea. Yeah. That's nice. That's really nice. Because, I mean, it's asking for this. But if we waste a move, say, then e5, I guess is the idea. And then what are you doing? What are you doing? No, a mistake. You go rook takes. And then check. Oh, and you're dragging the queen away from f7, where you at least get the bishop. Wow. Oh, you don't get the bishop because the rook covers, but you go for this. Wow, that is crazy. Where did we... Wow, I don't even know what's happening. So the threat was never the bishop. The threat was never the bishop. The threat was the king, which is crazy, crazy, crazy. Maybe it is. Maybe I just played it wrong. Oh, you go knight there. What? So threatening just takes. Wow. And you've trapped their bishop with their own pawn. How crazy is that? That is really, really cool. Wow. You've trapped the bishop with its own pawn. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is beautiful. That is really, really nice. What an idea that is. Wow. Anyway, they decide to double up their rooks on the file, which is logical to me. Just worried about H3. But you only need one rook there. I've only got two. You've got the rook and the king. So you don't need both the rooks here unless you're looking to push, which is a bit of a waste. We look to trade off bishops and we run into this pawn fork. Luckily, we have these ideas of trading off the exchange. We've got some intermezzos, which are very lucky, to say the least. And we decided to take it. Apparently taking it is not the best move. You play rook f7 first. Apparently king g7. I don't understand. I guess just getting off this diagonal. Maybe you could also play like bishop f4, hitting the queen. But I mean, just to me, just winning the exchange seems logical. At least, you know, seems logical to me. And then we kick the queen about and we mess around on this open file a lot. We kick out the bishop, which I like, and I'm thinking this isn't too bad. We give them this pawn because I think it is more important for us to get our rooks doing something than it is to worry about this pawn at the minute, at least. They're going back, apparently a mistake, and now they could theoretically do this. I would be confident here as white. I would be less confident as black. White seems pretty tidy, especially if they can get their knight involved a bit better. Then again, how do you really do that? Because these pawns are super annoying, cutting off all the squares. So you'd have to get to this one, right? And how do you even get to that one? I don't even know. Go like that. But I'm covering that as well. So you could go to there. But then I'm covering all of these. So you can't really do it with the knight, really, which is really cool. Yeah, you're just covering all of these squares. And even if it can get to here, I'm still covering all of these squares, which is really, really cool. So yeah, maybe black is slightly better there. And they should have gone to g1, which is so counterintuitive because you're asking for checks, but none of the checks really work because of this knight. But then again, the knight is sort of trapped there at the same time, so I don't know. I guess black just tries to get their queen involved and white just tries to solidify, I guess. They go queen a6. We go b6 just to defend the pawns, basically. Try lock the queen out of the game a bit. I think that's a mistake we did. We let the queen sort of get out, potentially. Rook f8, better. And this is minus 2.1 here. So this is significantly better for us. Oh, and you've got this with the hit on the bishop. Ah, that's clever. That is clever. No, you don't even take the pawn, apparently. You go rook there. Logical, I guess. Not really. Getting out of the way of the knight, I guess. Looking for checks and stuff. Makes some sense. Where are we? There we go. We go rook f4. And I don't really know why I didn't go f8. Because looking at it, the rooks both here is very, like, clunky and awkward. You can't really move this one because where's it going to go? You know, you could go to there, sure. But is it really doing much there? You can check what the knight blocks. You can't go there and you can't really go there. So it only has like these two squares. Because this one's blocking it in. And this one also doesn't really have anywhere to sort of go to that's like doing anything. So just going back is definitely the safer option for sure. They check, yeah, which is another reason why you go to rook f8. Bishop back is apparently mate in 7 that we missed. Really? Starting with queen to c5. And the question is, I just guess, how do you stop rook f2, right? You sack the queen, sack the bishop, I guess. Then what do you sack next? What do you sack next? The pawn. But yeah, rook f2. If they take here, you just take with a queen, right? Yeah, and then what's happening? You know, what is happening? That's just mate, for sure. And this is just mate this way. So they have to play h4 to give the king the escape square. And then, yeah, you get mated that way. Ah, I can't believe we missed that. That's a pretty logical one to do because they don't really have anything they can do to defend, right? We've realized that this knight is sort of stuck, especially if it goes here. It could potentially go here, at which point it's not actually mate. But then I guess you get a similar position to what we sort of mentioned. Queen goes to c5, maybe. And these ideas were all here. I think I just didn't... Like, I sort of saw, like, queen c5, maybe queen c7 if this pawn moves, going after this. And obviously the rook checks are what we're aiming for. But just, I think piecing it together in the time pressure just wasn't happening. Rook e3, just looking for checks, you know, rather than just going for queen c5, which is obvious now that you look at it. And we take the pawn. I think we're sort of panicking here because of the time. This is just walking into ugly stuff, right? Really ugly stuff. They should have just taken this. I don't really know why I didn't take this. It's just a free exchange, and gets rid of all of my like battering ram power, you know. And with my queen here as well, I'm also getting rid of the tactical pin because I can't. Before I couldn't move this rook because they have queen check, which isn't immediately losing, but isn't nice for sure. You know, it's definitely not nice. But now with queen f6, I can because the queen covers g6. They decide to free us up. Thank you, I guess. And then we missed another mate in 6. Starting with queen f4. Now, where does this lead? The threat is, I guess, just queen takes knight, right? Or rook takes knight, probably even better. Nah, maybe queen takes knight. Either way, it's both brutal. So how do you defend that? The queen can't actually defend the knight. The queen can't actually defend the knight. So they just sack the knight with check. Pawn takes, sure. Then they go here, and again, you throw in rook e2 rather than check, which is fair enough. Probably sack the queen, yeah. And then you've got maybe like this happening, which seems very logical. So we missed another mate in however many. Fewer moves this time, and this is a very, again, having more time. This I'm confident I would have seen this, but you know, time is time. It makes you do stupid things. Apparently, you can take this because if takes, then you have check. They can block, but then you have check here. Threatening rook e2. Also takes with check. Potentially a thing. Okay, fair enough. And if they do take, yeah, rook, yeah. But apparently the best move is not even to take because the queen's still hanging. The queen is still hanging. So what are you going to do? You go there, the rook, you win the rook either way, you know. So you just keep taking with checks, which is really, really cool. Really, really cool, actually. Maybe you could take this, but again, the queen is still hanging. So they're just going to take it at some point, and you lead into that line. Queen there. I think we just, again, time pressure missed the threat of h8. I think c5 is a valid attempt. Potentially you've got some of the same lines as before when the queen was on a7. But yeah, you know, that darn clock, it'll get you. It will definitely get you. I thought they had check here. Potentially, I didn't think it led anywhere though. Other than just getting the king in a bit of an awkward situation. Apparently check on g6 is not the way to go. You go knight there, and that wins the queen. So you could get a rook and a knight for a queen. With the rooks is interesting, but it's definitely not winning. You know, it's definitely not winning. The bishop's in an awkward place, but yeah, the thing is, if you take this, then it goes out this way. And after takes, you can't take back. A, because of the pin. B, if you could, you would be hanging this rook, which is something. Yeah. Rook takes e2 check, or rook to e2 check. They block. And then we just hang mate in 1, which is definitely something. Maybe c5 here works as well. No, apparently because they have that. Makes a lot of sense. And then you're walking into all sorts of nasty stuff with a even scarier pin. even scarier. That was a fun game. I really did enjoy that. I need to get better with my clock management because that was abysmal. I thought we were doing well on the clock there as well, but I guess too much talking will do that. Maybe we'll go back to playing increment. I think I tried that. I don't really remember. It was a while ago. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.